Welcome, everybody. This is our weekly in the U.S. Friday Katipunan Zoom session. Tonight's feature would be our very own Guru Ferd from the United States. I want to acknowledge all the guests that's on board today. We got Kuya John. Of course, we have Tuhan Mick. We have Tuhan Sadiq that's on board. We have Tuhan Jay. We have our friend Gregory from Russia that's on tonight as well. We have Tuan Rob that's in Georgia right now. And of course, our very friendly friend from Canada, Randy's there. I also see Mr. Paul Webb that's joined us tonight. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And as I scroll through, I will acknowledge the people. I'm sorry I can't acknowledge everybody, but I will eventually throughout the night. So tonight will be Guru Ferd. I think this is your first session for Katipunan, and I've been waiting for you to do one for so long, so I'm really excited. Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and bow in as we normally do, and we will do it our Katipunan way. I'll actually lead it tonight. I don't think I've ever led it.
I don't remember the steps, so...
Okay. All right. So we will do it like this. Everybody open up your cameras and we'll do it together. So isang puso.
Isang puso.
Isang diwa.
Isang diwa.
Isang lakas.
Isang lakas.
All right. Katipunan. So Guru Ferd, our featured instructor tonight. Guru Ferd trained under Tuan Tim Wade of PTGO USA, PTK SMF. He has spearheaded the promotion of Pekiti-Tirsia Kali in San Francisco from 2010 to 2018. He has been featured as a guest instructor in several FMA collaborative events, such as Legacy, which myself and Guru Ferd will be a part of Legacy 9 in Las Vegas in September. So feel free to come and join us for that event. I think it's going to be wonderful. I think there's like 12 grandmasters and the Tuans that are going to be presenting, so that'll be awesome. He's also been featured in the martial arts cultural event called also known as MACE. He's done the Derobio Ohana conferences and the SoCal Sword Fight, which is primarily a HEMA event. And I know that he's big into the HEMA events and so forth. So he's currently based teaching in Oregon, USA, and his primary full-time job outside of martial arts is he is a full-time video game animator, which is I think is pretty cool. He's worked on games such as Call of Duty, Vanguard, Jedi Fallen Order, The Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding. That's like pretty impressive. I'm like geeking out because I have a lot of friends that play all of these games and see it, and I always tell them, hey, I know a guy that's worked on that. So and he wears a kilt. Ta-da! So that's pretty much all I'm going to say about Guru Ferd. Most of you guys know him anyways. If you don't, feel free to follow him. He's on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He's got Instagram. He's got TikTok. So wonderful guy to watch and stuff. I also have a good, I think it was an hour and a half interview with Guru Ferd on my YouTube channel. So feel free to take a look at that. We go through many different questions about his journey and so forth. So Guru Ferd, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Tuhan Jesse, for the excellent introduction. And what do you call it? I'm happy to be here tonight and share some of PTK SMF's training methods with you. Joining me tonight are my friends Garrett Wood and Paul Butvich. They've been training with me for just about a year. So they're going to be assisting me in some of the material that we will be presenting tonight. If I may, let's see, I made a PowerPoint. I'm trying to be ultra
Oh,
bronze.
awesome.
While I'm talking, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna screen share really quick. Are you guys? Can you guys see?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Okay, great. All right. So, yeah, as said, so the topic for tonight is the dynamic execution of PTK tactics. Yeah, as probably some of you are aware, the way that Tuhan Tim Wade teaches, he teaches in a very aggressive and explosive manner. And pretty much, everything that you guys are already doing, we're doing as well. It's just a lot more aggressive about it. So obviously my sources are, Tuhan Tim Wade. He's my primary instructor. And Dino Martinez, he's a Matanza guru based out of Florida, who's also been my instructor for many years. And of course, Grand Tuhan Leo Guy, right? Without whom we wouldn't have this fantastic piece of combat technology. So really quick, kind of just talk about, because so many people have asked what the hell is PTK SMF and all that. I'll just go really quick. So as you all know, Tuhan Tim Wade is the president of the PTKGO US chapter, and within that organization, we have what we call PTK SMF, which became his personal and professional brand this past 10 years. And often people have asked what the hell is SMF stands for. It stands for Savio Militaris Faber, which is Latin for to rage violently in a precise military method with master skill. Okay, so right there you see that even in Tim's slogan, his military experience, kind of permeates throughout pretty much everything that he does. We often playfully describe PTK SMF as Pekiti-Tirsia with gunpowder, because we do things, explode. Right? We're very explosive about our execution. So, real quick, I mean, we all know what Pekiti-Tirsia is, right? Some of you have been training the system for quite a bit, and in PTK SMF, we try to adhere to the sword discipline or the blade discipline. That's how Grand Tuhan introduced the system in the very, very beginning. Although, as you know, over the years, it kind of it's becoming a little bit more of a stick fighting art for a lot of people, and they're losing sight of the blade discipline. Okay, the reason why we train Pekiti-Tirsia primarily as an edge weapon discipline, because it does develop skill faster and more effectively, because it requires you to become proficient and precise. Blade mechanics improves and perfects all other body mechanics. Okay, and yeah, even in modern times, the way of the sword has not gone away. In fact, it's being rediscovered by just about every weapon-based combat system out there. From historical European martial arts to African martial arts. And finally, obviously, why should Pekiti-Tirsia be trained like a blade discipline? Because it is blade discipline. Okay, not saying that you can't use it for stick fighting, but quite often the sword mechanics and tactics can transfer to the stick, but not necessarily the other way around. Let me go over really quick some definitions here that you're probably going to hear a lot. So concepts: principle, system, strategy, tactics, and techniques. So really, really quick, right? It's pretty basic. A concept is an idea or general notion of something. Principles, they're standardized rules and guidelines that serve as the foundation of a system of beliefs, behavior, or chain of reasoning. A system is an organized method or framework, a principles-based approach to problem solving. Strategy, a plan for a course of action. Tactics, the practical execution of the strategy. And then finally, we have techniques, which is the precise execution of tactics based on an effective strategy. So, okay, before I go to that, does anybody have any questions about what I just mentioned there? Oh, and by the way, this is how I teach. I teach in a very interactive manner. So don't be afraid to raise a hand if you have a question. I know we have segments where we can do a Q&A. But if you have a quick question you want to bring up while I'm going over something, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, no need to wait until much later, unless it's something very involved or long that requires a longer answer. Then wait a little bit. Okay. So before we start, and by the way, I would encourage people to participate. Okay, it'd be great if you guys can get up and do some of these movements along with us, because this is a physical art. Okay, you'll get more out of it by moving around versus just kind of sitting there and staring at your screen. Okay, so before we start, let's establish a few things. Okay, the proper grip of your weapon. I'm assuming a lot of people are or should be familiar with these already, so I'm gonna go rather fast. The correct way to hold your weapon, okay, is about 90 degrees to your forearm. Okay, it's not like this. Okay, because our weapons were chopping weapons. They're not they're not like European sword where you can do all this fancy rapier type maneuvers. Although we do have some of that, we just not the extent of most of European martial arts. 90 degrees to your forearm. Okay, you're gonna cant your hands slightly outwards so that your second knuckles fall in line with the edge. Okay. When you hold your stick, okay, you will grip it the same manner. Okay, you're gonna leave about a fist length at the bottom there for your puño. Okay, so I know Grantuan has been teaching holding it like this for several years now. But when he first was teaching us, he did it proper. Okay. This is to account for the puño on your edge weapon, and also obviously to use it to strike, right? Chambers. In dosimetros, we really only have two chamber positions. Number one chamber, number two. We don't have the loads like in Tri-V or anything like that. Okay. Number one chamber, number two, 3 and 4 don't have loading positions because it's just kind of hanging there, right? So the proper way that we do our fluid strikes, okay, this proper follow through right here, okay, you have to derive your energy from your hips. So you have to turn your hip, and then the sword or your weapon follows through after. Okay. And we often use the 45-degree principle, right? So you have to make sure that when you're doing these downward diagonals, that they cross your eyes. Too many people deliver their strikes like this. See where their heads are open or exposed and they're very narrow. Okay, you run the risk of chopping your own fingers or legs if you do that. Proper 45 degrees. Okay, and you'll see once we get deeper into the material tonight, you'll see why these very basic striking mechanics are so important, right? Because you're going to be moving fast and explosive. So everything, okay, everything needs to be dialed in. Like Grant Tuan often says, you know, a mistake's a blunder. Okay, so if you end up hurting yourself because you have poor mechanics or, you know, you can't execute, you know, effective tactics, right? Because maybe you need to go back and revise your foundation skills. Okay. Any questions so far? Yeah, no? No
No,
questions?
sir, keep going.
Okay,
All good.
It's like dead quiet. I'm like, okay, so let's see. So what I'm gonna move on to next is I'm gonna go back to here. I'm gonna go back to screen share really quick. Most of you are familiar with the common footwork patterns, right? Reverse triangle, forward triangle, half diamonds. I don't have the hourglass on here, diamond, right? All these things. But my question actually is, who can tell me how many types of footwork are there? You have reverse triangle, forward, half diamond, zigzag, right? You zigzag all over the place, side steps. But how many types of footwork are there? This kind of a question that was brought up to us by Matas Neguro Dino, because we are, you know, we try to simplify everything. Instead of making things overcomplicated, we try to simplify things more. So I'm not getting any answers, so I'm just gonna move forward.
Guru Ferd, are you asking how many different types of footwork pattern, or how many actual?
Just types. Just types.
Okay,
And,
like angles and stuff, right? Is that what you're talking about?
There's only 3 types of footwork: point, line, circle. Okay, so point. Basically, if you know your broken footwork, okay, go way back here. Okay, point is your broken footwork, or anytime your feet come together. Okay, you might even include this bit here. Line is anytime you travel from point to point. So whatever, you know, reverse triangle, forward triangle, lateral, okay, those are lines. Circle, when you cross that, you turn around and face the other direction. That's your circular footwork, okay? Circular. Your wave in, wave out can be considered circular. It's just on a vertical plane versus horizontal plane, okay? So just those 3 types, you should be able to identify, you know, all the different types of footwork instead of trying to, you know, memorize, you know, all the different patterns. Because eventually when you're moving dynamically, right, these patterns they're gonna go away. You're not gonna be able to track whether or not you or your opponent did forward triangle or reverse or whatever, right? You're just moving, okay? So I just wanted to bring that up really, really quick. And this is what we're going to try to warm up with. Screen share again. Okay, so this is some of what we are going to work out. Broken footwork. By the way, is everybody pretty familiar with all of Pekiti-Tirsia's different footwork methods? Yeah, no. Okay, I'm seeing
Everybody
some
speak up.
Okay, I don't speak up, guys. I don't know if I'm just
Yes.
talking into the air or what.
Yes.
Or at least click the hand raise or something. Okay, so yeah, so I'm
There you
gonna
go.
I'm gonna go over some of these with you guys. Again, we'll go fast. If you have to review these, I'm sure you can ask the two hunts to give you a copy or something of the video. But we're gonna first start with broken footwork. Okay, we have single, double, combination, and then the quick switch. It's part of that entire thing. So here, that's how we'll start. Okay, and you're not going anywhere with this. You're basically it's a static footwork, right? Because it's a transitional position, but it's important to understand because this is what allows you to be able to move dynamically, right? The whole idea of bringing your feet together. You guys can follow along if you want. Okay. So we have first the single broken. You have your right leg forward, raise the heel. Your front foot heel should not be too far away from your support foot's toes. It's about here. Okay. You can say, this is like the kung fu and karate equivalent of a cat stance. They just sit a lot lower. With us, we're a little bit more upright.
Natawa si Nilo sa akin.
Who's that? Sorry. So when you do your single, you just pump that foot. I'm not trying to do a skin show here. I'm gonna lift my skirt a little bit. But you try to kick your heel toward your butt. Okay. I've seen people do broken footwork where they're doing knee ups. It's not this, okay? Your knee should not come up to your waist level. It should stay below the waist because the foot is what you're trying to get out of the way, right? So you kick it back really fast like that. And you have barely any weight on that foot. You come up fast and then you bring it down gently. Only your toe is touching the floor. Boom. That's single. Okay? You can switch to the other side and do the same exact thing. Okay? Again, it looks kind of silly in the beginning, but again, if you want to be able to do your takeoffs, which we'll get to in a sec, if you want to be able to do your takeoff footwork effectively, you need to be able to do this. Okay? So this is one of the first footwork we teach. Broken, single. Now you'll do one leg several times, and then you'll switch, and then you'll do the other leg several times. This will also help you improve your balance because you have to have most of your weight on that support leg. Okay? And eventually you want to be able to switch and redistribute that weight from one leg to the other without swaying so much or coming up and down so much, right? So that's a single. Double is just this. You're just switching. Okay? So it's almost like a dance. You kinda, right? So if you don't know how to dance and you're at a club, you can just like stand in the corner with your, I don't know, diet beer or something and just kind of do this. You'll probably still look cool. I don't know about the beer, but okay, so this is double. Combination is literally the single and the double. Okay, so you might be humping one leg and then you'll switch. See? You can switch, randomly, or you can pump one leg a few times and then switch, okay? And just do double and then do single, okay? Any of that pretty clear? Okay, I'm seeing some of you are trying it. That's great. Okay, any questions so far?
Yeah,
On this-
Guru, this is
Yeah.
Randy.
Hi,
With
Randy.
Hi. When you're lifting the foot, is it to move the foot out of the way of a sweep or a kick? Or is it also to sweep somebody else's foot?
I want to say yes, but in the beginning, you really shouldn't be worrying about that. You just worry about coordinating.
Okay,
But yes, you can, like later on, like if you're training like Sikaran, we have this kick that scoops up and pulls the target or the leg. So right, you can fire it from your lead foot, or you can switch and use the rear foot to do that same movement. So yes, you can use it for sweeps and whatnot, but at this stage, you're really just learning how to be nimble.
I see.
You're learning to be on the balls of your feet, basically, right? Again, we have noticed this last few years when people are training and practicing, there's not a lot of footwork. There's always their feet are always flat and they're just doing whatever drill, right? Or when they do try to use the broken footwork, it's not using the correct way. So that's why I thought maybe it's a good idea to kind of review this really quick before we dive into all the more explosive stuff, right? So that's your broken footwork. Oh, quick switch. Quick switch is just the ability to switch your feet very fast, right? That. I don't know if you can see that, but it gets all blurry. Here, there, there. And you notice how, as I'm switching my feet really fast, I'm not jumping up, not doing this, and I'm also not dragging my foot. Okay, my foot comes up, but it barely leaves the floor. Okay, so it's really this. It's really hard to break it down slow. It's this, and then it's that. This, then it's that. Okay. Boom. 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 Okay. It's a little bit more obviously advanced, but again, progressing to that level is really, if you do it right, it doesn't take very long. I mean, it didn't really take very long for most of us, So you just gotta do it proper, Next, take off. Let's see. So I'm not gonna do a full review on reverse and forward triangle. I'm just laying down the pattern so that you can see where the hell I'm going. Okay, so take off. Again, most people do take off like this, which not entirely wrong, but there's no oomph, okay? There's no gas in there. You need to be able to do that. You need to be able to spring from point to point. When you land at your next point, your feet should be together because that implies you're about to take off again at whatever direction. So if you're just doing it basic wise on the reverse triangle, okay, right? The general rule is, right, if your right foot is forward, you're taking off to the left. If your left foot is forward, you're taking off to the right, right? Why? Because that forward foot is what, right? When you drop that heel, that's the so again, this is how we start with the, the front foot drop or front heel drop. Later on, there are versions where the takeoff foot is to the rear. We call that a rear takeoff. But we'll just do the basic forward takeoff. Okay? Right foot forward, you're going to pivot on the ball of your foot until your toes are pointing to the left, 45 degrees. You drop your heel, and at the same time you push off. Okay. So 1, 2, and then 3. 1, 2, and 3. So in the beginning, you might need to do it like this, where you kind of do it step by step. 1, 2, drop. Back. Broken forward posture. Turn your foot, drop the heel, and then launch. Eventually, you'll be doing it that way. Boom. Okay. Here, go. Here, and then go. Okay. That's to the left. If I want to go right, I'm going to switch. Left foot is forward now. And it's the same thing. Okay. Turn 45 degrees, drop the heel, push off. Broken posture, turn the heel, drop, and take off. Again, you'll do it like that for a bit, taking care of that. Every time you reach the end, your feet come together. Okay? If you do this, right, then you're missing this ability to bring your feet together and maintain your balance. Or some people do this. They go past. Okay? You have to start teaching yourself to be able to stop on a dime. Okay? Boom. Yeah. For triangle, this is how I would teach this exercise. Let's say you already understand the takeoff mechanic. I will add then the coordination part of the static broken forward, right? So I will go 1, 2, 3, take off, range out. 1, 2, 3, take off, range out. Switch. 1, 2, 3, take off, range out. 1, 2, 3, take off, range out. Okay, everybody see that? Do you need to see it at a different angle?
That was great.
Good? Okay, I'll just move on. Okay, next one is the half diamond. So, half diamond, I mean, it's, literally the same triangle, 45-degree triangle. It's just this way, right? And it's usually on the left. Why? Because again, we encourage people to be able to quarter to the outside left and then attack by bridging to the center line. So left 45, right 45. This way. And again, when you lay down your sticks as a guide, you got to make sure it's 45 degrees. Okay, just don't make up all these weird angles. Okay, it's 45 degrees for a reason. Right. So if your triangle is too narrow or way too wide, then you're not seeing the actual bridging and quartering that the pattern provides for you. You're moving, you might think you're bridging, but you're not bridging effectively, right? If your triangle's like this, you might as well just run in a straight line. Okay, this does nothing for you. This one, too narrow, same thing. You're going outside, but you're not getting any closer. So it needs to be 45. So now if I'm doing half diamond, same thing, right? I'm gonna take off, hit the point, take off again. And you notice how I traverse that line very, very quickly. We don't do it like this. Like we're in a soiree, just waltzing. Okay. You need to teach yourself to be able to spring, hit that point, spring again, hit that point. Okay. If you need to hop, like I tell my students, if you need to hop, you get used to the idea of, traveling on that line and then bringing your feet together, by all means do it. But eventually you want to be able to glide. Okay. So you're going to travel across really, really fast, but your head should not be going up and down anymore. Okay. So you just glide across. Also, your feet don't need to come up so high. Pick off, pick off. Okay. That's on the half diamond. You can do it on the other side too. But I don't want to spend the whole night going over footwork. We have a lot more stuff to cover, right? Any questions?
No, sir.
Yeah, no? Okay. Moving on then. So here, we're gonna jump ahead to the striking drills. I don't have a lot of time to show it to you in a 5 attacks manner, which is something we commonly teach it out of. I'm gonna strip it down, and hopefully it communicates the same the same thing. The fluid 1 and 2 only with broken footwork. So you're gonna start with the same side. Okay, so I'm chambered on my number 1. My right foot would be forward. When I strike, I'm going to pump and then switch my feet. Okay. 1, switch, 2, switch, back to 1, switch, back to 2. Okay. So again, 1, 2, 1, 2. You notice I'm not doing this. Okay. This is like an old school approach. Again, in our training method, we make sure we specify everything, right? So this is kind of like out of the side step without the side step. So we don't really do this when it's static. That's something we do when we are incorporating the side step itself in the drill. So going back to our first one, same side, 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, as you're doing I mean, it's just a simple fluid 1 and 2, but you want to make sure that your weapon crosses between the bridge of your nose. Okay, don't be doing this. Okay, look at how exposed my head is. You should be proactively protecting your face. That's why the weapon crosses your face like that. And you see how my hips are turning, but I'm not pivoting on my feet and doing this. I'm also not doing this. Okay. I tell you, I've seen Pekiti-Tirsia people doing this. I'm sorry, but I need to slap you on the hand if you're doing that. Okay. No, you shouldn't be doing this. There. Okay. You want to isolate the turning of the hips above the waist here, and then below the waist, all your feet is doing should be just that. Okay. So that's the same side. And then now let's do the opposite side. So angle 1, but now my left foot is forward. So it's opposite foot now. 1, switch, 2, switch, 1, switch, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Same thing. Even though I'm tempted to start doing this, I'm trying to keep myself from falling into that. Okay. I'm remaining relatively straightforward. Again, everything above my hips, above my waist is turning, but I'm not doing that with my feet. Okay. Okay. Usually I use this as a coordination drill for newer students. Questions on that one?
Well, sir.
Good. Okay. All right. You might be thinking, well, you're talking all this shit about being dynamic. Also, so far I've only seen you do it static. All right, fine. Let's move now. So again, we are going to use the reverse triangle and our takeoff mechanic combined with the strike. Okay. So in the beginning, if you're still working on your coordination, then you might just, focus on the takeoff and strike. So again, I am stepping on a reverse triangle and striking simultaneously, right? So like I said earlier, if my right foot's forward, I'm taking off to the left. My left foot's forward, I'm taking off to the right. Again, later, when you're actually good at doing this, you don't have to follow that rule anymore. In the beginning, though, we have to insist on that because you need something consistent to work from. So taking off left 45 with an angle 1. Okay. Again, slow. When you chamber, your feet come together. Right. So let's do it this way. Let's do it from a fighting posture instead of instead of the basic stance. Pretend like you're in a fighting posture. You're just going to chamber and you're going to bring your feet together. Okay, so when you bring your weapon up to chamber, this is when your feet come together. So that by the time you fire that strike, you're on your way out. Right? So first movement, 1 there. Go back, 1. 1 there. Okay. And this is just, again, you pay attention to your movement. Make sure that as you chamber your angle 1, your feet come together. Okay, don't do this and then have the feet come after. No, you're missing the point. You need to coordinate this together. Okay, together. Feet together and chamber. Okay. Okay, so once you get that, then you add the strike itself and the takeoff. Right? So you'll go 1, 2, and then just go back. 1, 2, go back. 1, 2. Back. 1, 2. Okay. Again, notice I'm not doing this. Okay. Not hopping. I'm also not dropping my hand when I strike. Okay. As I take off and strike simultaneously, you see how the weapon is in front of my face and it's not down here. Yeah. Okay. At the end there, it's down because I just followed through. So, right. So taking off to the left with the angle 1, 1, 2, back. 1, 2. I need to do it sideways here. I'll do it this way. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. Let's go right. On the right side, we'll do angle 2. So you'll be here, chambered already, right? Or backhand ready this way. Same thing. Since you are still on your right side lead, okay, even though you are starting with the opposite side angle, same thing. You're gonna bring your feet together, but then when you go right 45, you're just simply kind of shuffling with that right leg, right? When you go left, feet come together, and then you step out with your left leg. But when you go right, feet come together, right leg, step out first, right? And then that's kind of a general rule. Whatever direction you're going, that's the foot that'll step first. So we're doing right 45 now. Chamber, take off, angle 2, fluid 2 rather. 1, 2. 1 and 2. 1, 2. Okay. So far, so good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I'm watching people. Olivia, Sawi, Randy. It's good. Who else? Let's see. We need to send a little. All right, John. Oh, hey, John. John used to train with me back in San Diego. Okay. So, all right. Unless there are any questions, I'll keep moving. Let's see. Oh, there's one question. We saw earlier on the PowerPoint, line circles. Now, how do you include circular? Oh, so here's a question from somebody just designated as N. Question is, as we saw the earlier with the PowerPoint had points, lines, circles, how do you include the circular in those explosive motion? Well, let's say you're doing the takeoff, you either went left or right. That's when you throw in your cross step, right? Or if you're more classically trained, that's when you throw in your, this side step or the cross step. So here's an example. Here, and I thought it was step. Okay. Let's say I'm bridging on Garrett here, right? And he's gonna move back, right? Because nobody ever stands in the same place. Again, with us, we don't, I don't know, we don't have this luxury of people just standing in place. They always seem to not cooperate and move out of the way. So we're just always aware of that. When I say I bridge in on Garrett and he moves away out of range, and let's say he decides to come back and I didn't have time to spring back out. This is when I might, oh, I'm going the wrong way. This is when I might sidestep out of the way. That's an example, right? Same thing, if I was bridging on the 2, and he comes back with a 3 or something, I will just simply move out of the way and sidestep. I'm only sidestepping and I'm doing that circular step because I'm trying to stay within the range and not have to like bridge in any further. That's the only reason why I would do that, which is seldom. Okay. And again, after I take off and I need to do that circular, whatever it is, either side step or you just throw the leg behind you and cross step. Cross step, right? So hopefully when you end up there and you do that little circular movement, you are to his flank and now you're facing maybe 90 degrees or so, right? The other way, not facing him straight on, right? You're gonna come in here, boom, throw that leg around, boom. Or here, throw a leg around, now you're there. You can also use the circular movement for wave in, as I showed earlier, right? There's the circular on the horizontal plane, but then don't forget you have the vertical plane as well. So maybe you don't feel like bridging any closer and you just want to wave in and hopefully get a strike, right? So you will utilize your wave in, wave out instead. Hang there, come back out. You'll see this in Seguidas, right? So there's your circular motion on that plane. Guru, camera's losing focus. Yeah, sorry, it's not much I can do about that. You know, camera adjusts according to where I am. So, anybody else?
I was gonna say also with the wave in as your circular, if you're waving in, you can as you come back, you can also build that energy into the shuffle as well for coming out of range.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Right. So, did everybody catch what Garrett was saying just now? Can you repeat that?
yeah.
Come a little closer.
So as part of that wave in, as you're coming back out, you can take that momentum of energy to spring back out of range.
Yeah. Right. So a lot of these principles are not like standalone, right? They're meant to work with each other, right? Just as Garrett said, you can use this wave in. When you wave back out, you can use that as a springboard to range you out, right? Instead of waving in and then waving back out, but then you're like, your feet are stuck. You should have gotten out of the way, right? Shouldn't be stuck there. Any other questions? No? Okay.
All sir.
Moving on. Let's see. Let's skip that part. Okay, so you guys familiar with, well, you guys should be familiar with this. It's what we call the circle of engagement. Again, Pekiti-Tirsia is it's a bridging system. Okay, often it's just referred to as a close quarter infighting system, blah blah blah, right? But then it's like big whoop. You know what other styles aren't close quarter fighting systems, right? Serrada is a close quarter fighting system. Okay, Kakoy Cañete's Corta Corbada style in 12 pares. That's a close quarter fighting system. So what makes our close quarter fighting system so different, right? Well, a close quarter fight, it's you know, quarter. It's the word quarter or quartering. It's a verb. Okay, so we're a close quartering system, which means you need to be able to negotiate all the ranges from long range, medium range to close range. It's not just you start the fight and you're at quarter range or whatever, or you're at medium range and you're saying you're at long range. No, right? So this right here, just for visualization, this is how we identify the ranges. Okay, If you imagine a diamond in between you and your opponent, okay, that region within the red diamond there, that's the medium range. That's the range of mutual destruction. This is not where you should be fighting. Should be fighting outside of that or past that to quarto range or tertia quarto. Okay, outside of that blue circle is what we call largo largo. It's literally just the safe long range. Okay, but on the circle, that's your tertia largo. This is where you can begin basically your combat engagement. Okay, so how do we measure that? Well, where are you? So the way we measure distance, largo is tip to tip here. You know, any closer than this, you're crossing into the mutual destruction range. That's why a lot of the drills are done here, right? You just tap, tap, because people like to hear sticks clapping or whatever. Then you do some kind of whatever, right? But it doesn't properly identify the range because you're already in the 50-50 range, okay? So you need to establish your ideal long range and your, all your ideal ranges, right? This is largo. Beyond that, this is largo, right? This is where if we were fighting, we're just circling, whatever, right? And then when I'm like ready to engage, I'm gonna kind of scoot myself towards the ideal largo, and then that's when I'll begin, right? My actual engagement. What they call it in HEMA, fighting measure, right? This is where they determine.
I think so.
Right? In HEMA, I think I could be wrong. When weapons cross, this is what they say. This is what they call fighting measure. Basically, this is where the engagement begins. Back here, same thing. They're just kind of, you know, circling each other, right? Trying to gauge what the other guy's gonna do. But once weapons cross, this is what they figure the actual fight begins, right? That's just HEMA. Quarto is when I'm able to strike your body. So, you know, maybe your weapon is high, but if I got the extension and you're still kind of, you know, you don't have an extension of your weapon, I've got the quarto shot. Okay. If I'm thinking I'm gonna hit the body, but he also has a fully extended hand, then I'm not quarto anymore. I'm back to mutual destruction range because he was able to equal me here. Okay. Now he's at quarto. Okay. And then Pekiti is right when you're using your third hand and you're using your puño strikes. So just wanted to identify that really quick with you. There's another question. Sorry, is a point just a transition? Noni Cruzado asks, is a point just a transition? Yes, it's a transition. You know, if you plan to stay on that same point, then you bring your feet apart, right, to regain your balance. That's right. So the point is where you are not moving currently, or you're deciding where to go next. So if there are no questions, I'm going to jump ahead to some partner drills.
Hey, Groofer?
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question. On mutual destruction, are we, you said what you were showing there, it's mutual, is it go by also behind timing? So if you're behind timing and the person has like maybe a 1 second ahead, and then you got in the red zone, there's also mutual destruction by the power strike by the other opponent, and you got caught into that opponent's strike? Is that because he's showing one exact like a mutual destruction, but also
yeah. I mean with the position of the weapons, yeah. I'm basically alluding to the timing, right? If my sorry, if my opponent already has an extension on that strike, and I'm like, oh, I'm meeting that, but I'm caught here, he's ahead a little bit. But because I'm still able to meet it, he's not like, you know, he got the advantage of the timing, but he didn't really get anything because I'm protecting myself, right? That's just for illustration, right? Because right now we're just really talking about the range. We're not talking about timing just yet. That's a whole different animal, right? Yes or
Okay.
no?
That's why you say mutual destruction. That's why I don't know you
Yeah.
going off of that.
Yeah. So, if you want to be able to gauge your distance accurately, you don't want to be engaging here, where your opponent might be able to equal you. He might be able to beat you on the timing, right? But it's harder to deal with because you're already in this zone. Right? If you're out here, you can do whatever with your weapon until you set it up proper and then actually bridge. You don't want to be doing it here, trying to see who gets what, right? You ain't gonna get shit. Okay, both of you are gonna get blasted on the head or get blasted on the arm, which often happens in sparring, right? Because people just want to crash and they end up here, and then what happens? Mutual death happens, right?
That's a mutual destruction, be getting hit at the same time
Yeah.
by both. Okay.
Not saying, it'll never happen. It does, right? That's why we try to pay attention and identify those ranges before we get too far into, getting caught up on techniques and combos and all that when you don't even know how to negotiate your distance, right? So we would take care to identify that early on. I hope that answered your question. Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Gurufer. Thank you.
Yeah, I prefer doing this in person. Doing this on Zoom, it's a little bit more challenging. But here we'll move ahead to like some timing drills. We might not be able to get through all of them, but do you guys have your gloves?
Yeah.
Just put on the right hand glove, please. So while they're getting their hand protection, there's a drill that we do. And again, normally it's done out of 5 attacks, but I'll have to teach 5 attacks first. So we'll just do it out of the 1 and the 2. Okay, so this kind of ties into all the other stuff we were doing prior. Your fluid 1 and 2, and then your takeoff, right? So basically the drill is when you take off on a specific striking angle and going in a specific direction, you will speed up on the strike before that, right? Meaning to say, if I'm going left 45, that's my takeoff, I'm actually going to speed up on the 2. So if I'm just setting it up, I'm going 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm taking off to the left with my angle 1. I will speed up on the 2 so that I can get ahead on the 1, right? I don't want to speed it up on the 1, right? Because he's going to see that, right? In fact, even on the 2, I'm only speeding up on the follow through of the 2, not the entire 2, because there might be contact there. So I don't want to give him an early warning that I'm about to speed up by purposely going faster on the prior strike. So the exercise is 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you go. Oh, forgot to bring my feet together. Sorry. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then go. Okay. This way. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then go. Again, I realize the camera is blurring things, so you can't really see the real difference. It just looks like the same exact thing. But again, you want to speed up on that follow through so that you're ready to land your angle 1. So with a partner, and this is usually better with a partner because you get feedback. Okay, my partner, all he's doing is delivering the 1 and 2 angles for me. Okay. And again, rather than do this drill where I'm already in range to get hit. So rather than do it in medium range, I'll do it from long range. Again, tip to tip from here. 1, 2, 1, 2. When I bridge, see on the 2, we come together, and then I go for that strike. So there's only one contact. 1, 2, and go. 1, 2, and go. Okay? Instead of this. Simplify it. Feet together. Go. Feet together. Go. Okay? And right now, you might want to start this way where you just aim for the stick, but eventually, because you're speeding up timing wise, right? You should be aiming for the hand on that angle 1. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. So anybody catching what happened there? When I delivered my angle 1, Garrett has barely extended his angle 1. If he had a full extension, we just equal each other. I quartered, but I didn't get anything, right? We just cancel each other out. Yeah. That time I clipped his hand because that's what I'm going for. I sped up on the follow through, and then by the time I land my angle 1, he's just firing his angle 1, whereas I already have an extension on my angle 1. Again, why? Because I sped up on the follow through on the strike before, right? So that's like a basic drill. You can practice, right, to train your takeoff and your timing, right? And by the way, you don't need to blast your partner's hand with this, okay? You should be able to control your strike, right? Just because he's wearing a glove, that's not an invitation to destroy his knuckles. You can hit it, but again, control your strike. And you can do the same thing on the backhand side, right? Except this time, I will speed up on the 1 because I'm gonna go right 45 now. Okay. Okay. Are you guys catching that?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. Don't forget to hydrate. Oh yes, thank you. I will hydrate now. And while I'm hydrating, are there any questions? While I'm hydrating.
Guru Fer, this is Jesse. Can
Go
you
on.
do it with your broken footwork and then go into your takeoff?
Yeah, you can. There's just more to do, right? 'Cause you
Yeah.
you have to do this.
Uh-huh.
Definitely you can. In fact, I sometimes have them do that just for the review the coordination.
Mhm.
But if you're doing it like from like a I don't know, combative format, right? You're gonna assume the fighting posture, not
Right.
not this, right?
Right. Right.
Right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I've never faced off my opponent in sparring and they're like, all right, go, let's go. Right? I don't do, or I don't assume this posture when I spar. Right? This is my posture. That's my posture. See? I'm ready to go. Right? I'm not doing a drill. But yes, Jesse, definitely you can incorporate that. In fact, I would encourage it because that will further, emphasize the whole, coordination, switching feet, being light on your feet. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah. The reason I bring that up because I saw one of your funny videos where you were doing it and you were taking off. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, like a joke, the joke video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody knows what Two on Jesse was talking about. Yeah, and there's one video in class where I was dancing. The beats that I was doing happened to tie in with that Wham song, right? The Jitterbug. Because
Uh-huh.
I was trying to show my student that, because they were getting to a point where they're getting a little too mechanical about it, because they're thinking about like, making sure that the steps are precise and right. This foot is just that far away from the other foot and all that. And I was trying to relax them. Because think of it like a dance, right? Have a little fun with it, right? That's why, yeah, I was doing I was doing this, right? I was just dancing. Because right, well, once you get your coordination, really, right, you can do whatever you want with it. It's not about being like a robot. No, it's being able to switch it up, right, in real time. So
Yes, sir.
you require some rhythm. Right?
Yes, sir.
You need to understand rhythm and know how to go with the rhythm and break the rhythm, right?
Thank you.
So, any questions on that drill we just did? Oh wait, Gary has a question. Does it matter with you bring the foot back to take off or bring back the left foot forward to take off? Not sure. Gary, are you on here? Can you hop on the mic? I don't quite understand what you mean. Hello? Oh, don't have a mic. Okay. Well, let's see. Does it matter if you bring the right foot back to take off? I'm assuming you mean the forward foot. When you take off, you should not be pulling your forward foot back because you're going to lose those few inches when you bridge. Make sense? So if I'm, say I'm going right 45, right? And I'm preparing to take off. So, right, I bring my feet together, like I said, and this is the foot that I'm gonna push off of. I don't want to be doing this. See how I shot it back there? Okay, I just lost this length of the distance by shooting my foot back and then, hitting this stance right here. Wherever your toes are, that's where you should be pushing away from, okay? So when you bring your feet together or your takeoff foot is in front, that's the point where you take off from, not back here, not anywhere else other than this point, okay? So when I bridge, like I said, see, that's where I take off from. I don't do this. See, not going anywhere. Right, that's like the equivalent of pressing the gas, and then you right, you just rev because you're still in park, right? So I hope I answered that question. Whatever point you need to take off from, that's where you take off, right? Nowhere else.
Hey, Ferg, you got another question above Gary's question. So it says,
Standard 1-3. So that will be the beginning. What would be the standard one to reach? I'm thinking it would be hitting the hand or body while sparring. I'm assuming you're referring to the timing drill. N, whatever your name is, just says N, right? What you should be aiming for, again, if you're practicing that exercise in the beginning, just for safety, again, assuming maybe your partner doesn't have a glove on, you aim for the stick. The stick is just a target. That doesn't mean that when you spar or fight that you're aiming for the stick. I mean, we can get into like the the tactics and reasons for hitting the weapon versus not hitting the weapon, but that'll be like another, hour of class, right? So just for the drill in question, you'll start with aiming for the stick, because really all my partner is doing is providing me with something to hit versus hitting air, right? And then, like I said, eventually you start moving down towards the hand, right? When you start aiming for the hand, this is when you need to apply the ahead of timing principle, not equal, right? Equal is if you hit the hand, but then he's got like full extension, you're kind of late. You're gonna get blasted on the head, right? The idea is to hit the hand before he gets the extension, okay? So you should be catching it like maybe here, not here, right? If you're hitting the hand and you both have full extension, you better be largo, brother. You're not gonna, right? You're not gonna win that engagement if you're moving into corto and you're stuck in medium range, right? You will get hit. Yeah. Right. So again, it comes down to timing and distance. And then as you get better, you take the gloves off. You should be able to target that hand without actually blasting his hand, right? So it's all visual. Okay, but that's further down in your progression. Okay. So okay. There's a lot more, but I'm gonna jump around. So I want to get a little bit more of a more fun drills. I kind of over prepared for this, so there's a bunch of stuff here that I'm not gonna be able to cover with the time remaining. So there's a drill that we kind of formulated based on known principles in dos methodos, right? I know in Tri-V, people typically do like Sabayan drills, right? I guess you can kind of call this like a Sabayan drill, but it's not really. It's a combination exercise using your fluid one, something we call attacking four wall, and then a pion, and then there's follow-ups. So before I jump into that, let me ask all of you really quick, who is familiar with the principle of attacking four wall? I mean, four wall, method 2, four wall is, technically a counter offense principle. So what the hell is an attacking four wall? Anyone know? I'm not seeing hands. Tuan, Jess, are you seeing hands? Anybody raising hands like they notice?
No, I don't see it.
Okay. So everybody knows fluid. Everybody knows broken. Sorry, I know the camera's blurring. Sorry, guys, I really can't do anything about this camera when it decides to go out of focus. So we have fluid, we have broken, and we have circular, right? Circular, circular 2, circular 1, fluid 1 and 2, broken 1, broken 2, right? The difference between fluid 1 and fluid and broken strikes is broken doesn't cross the center line, right? It stops on target and then withdraws. Fluid strikes go from one side of the body to the other. Circular is a fluid strike that stays on the same side, right? So my angle 1, my circular 1 looks like my typical fluid or broken. It's the same angle, it's just kind of, it's staying here, right? It's not this though. Again, I don't know how other groups identify strikes, but I know this is often referred to as a redondo. Or I don't know what was the other word, retirada or something, I could be wrong. But this is just simply we call this a fluid vertical. Okay? Vertical, vertical, okay? Broken vertical, from what you call high load, where your wittics also come from, right? So attacking four wall is similar to the strike, except it doesn't follow through and it doesn't which it doesn't withdraw. It's literally a wall you put in front of it, in front of your opponent. For example, we'll do it within contact range. There we go. So just go flat out fluid. Do this. We're both doing fluid. This is what you get. When I apply my attacking forwall, see that? Okay, get the idea? I'm simply stopping the energy momentarily and allowing my opponent to pass through. And then I will hit them after, right? Versus going broken, you go fluid. And then doing that, see, that's 2 beats. 1, 2, 3. Okay, sorry. 1, 2. 1, 2. Versus 1. 1. Okay. So you're just holding it there, just long enough for the weapon to follow through. So now, make sense?
Makes sense.
And what's that? Under tri-V, GT calls the outside circle at largo, universal fleeing strike. Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense. So back to our drill, right? This is the combination. You guys remember this one? Okay. The 1, 2, and then the thrust. Yeah. So we're just gonna show them that. So when I partner up with my friends here, they're just gonna basically give me the 1 and the 2, and then a thrust. 1, 2. The third strike is a thrust. These are just angles for me to work out of, so I can practice the, specific pattern I'm trying to do. My responses to that is a fluid 1, attacking forwall 2, the low pyong, and then my finishing strikes afterwards. So the main point of this is fluid 1, you bridge, attacking forwall, pyong, low. I think in tri-V you call this, what is this? Palipas? Is it palipas? 2 ons? What do you call this motion in
Yes,
tri-V?
yes.
Yeah, it
Palipas?
can be called palipas. Yes.
But
Okay.
still, it is payong number 1. Oh,
Yeah, that's the same thing. We just
Yeah.
call this a low pyong.
exactly.
So you're doing a fluid 1, attacking forwall. You will withdraw your hand momentarily, but you're going to keep your tip pointed forward. I should be doing this with a training sword. What am I doing? Edge awareness, right? 1, 2, pyong, and then your finisher is just a downward diagonal, 2, and then maybe a horizontal. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Right, simple. Okay, I don't want to get too twirly with it, because the other component is again, the explosive bridging, right? So if I'm training with my partner, just range out left 45 on that 1 and 2, and then after 2, just stop on the 3 to do that, right? The first, right, again, I have to help my training partner kind of understand what they need to do, right? I will bridge to the hand, attacking forward, then see, it will deliver that thrust. So every time I interact with my partner, who's the feeder, he's constantly moving. Okay. Now again, for tonight's presentation, he's gonna stop on the 3rd beat. So I have left 45, right 45, and then see there's my circle. My circle principle of stepping, side step. To the hand. There's a attacking forward. I deflect this and then I just finish him off with follow-up strikes. Again, at the beginning, you might want to do this a little slower. All right, so I will step. Maybe I'll hit the weapon. Okay? Good job. 1, 2, 3, bang, bang. Go back. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So why am I so fixated on going left 45? Again, I'm trying to learn to displace myself. Okay. I don't want to be getting into a habit that when I bridge, because I'm trying to hit my partner first, that I start to narrow my angle. And then that increases my risk of running into a mutual strike, right? So I said, every time I bridge, see, I will go 45 degrees out. My strike will still traverse his center line. So, it's not like I'm gonna miss his hand or anything, right? It's the same principle for those of you who shoot, right? Your target's dead center. Just because you displace yourself one direction or another doesn't mean you're gonna miss that target, right? So it's the same idea. When I strike, this is why when I take off any direction, I don't face that way and strike that way. My target is still in front of me. I'm just putting my body out of the way in case he doesn't like being attacked, right? So I'm gonna displace myself. Okay, I'm gonna displace myself. Okay. So as we go back to this drill, right, we're gonna go a little faster, right? 1, 2, back. Okay, angle 1, attacking for 1, final. Okay. And then you can start adding other things like your third hand jab. If you have a espada y daga, you can use the dagger for that, right? Pop in between the eyes. If you're close enough, right? Don't just be throwing your left. Again, there's one of those things where just because I said throw your jabbing hand out doesn't mean you just kind of do it out of habit. You have to do it, use a little common sense, right? Do it within the appropriate range. If I'm doing this drill and my partner is clearly getting the hell out, right? I'm not going to shoot my left hand out. It's too far. But if I gain that range, I earned it. Now I can pop in between the eyes, right? So again, take your range into consideration when you're doing exercises like this. Don't just throw techniques or whatever because that was what's prescribed, right? Also, if you see me like bridging and I'm taking a certain length of step, doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You have to do it according to how your partner moves, right? You're working with a really tall guy, right? And it takes really big steps. Guess what? You have to work a little harder to earn that distance. If not, or if it's too hard, you might want to ask your very tall partner to, hey man, maybe, cut your step down to like half so that I can actually reach you, right? But that's it. That's the whole game when you're doing dynamic drills. You have to be able to adjust in real time, right? Oops. Attack. There's another question. So attacking four-wall controls center line and give you big advantage. Yes and no. I mean, again, just like I'm saying, just because you're doing a attacking four-wall does not necessarily give you an advantage right away. Just because you did an attacking four-wall, you have to be in the range to make that mean something, right? Like, for example, no footwork this time. I do an attacking four-wall. Look at that. There's nothing there. It's too far. Okay. Attacking four-wall there. Now, see, now I can reach him. Okay. So just by doing attacking four-wall, right, If you don't factor in the range, it's nothing. It's just another dead. It's a dead movement. You get nothing out of that. But yes, it does. It can give you a big advantage. You just have to know what you're doing with it. Right? Right? I beat him with an uppercut. But I didn't do this. See, I'm a little late. If I do the standard fluid 5 attacks angle 3, see, he will beat me with that thrust. But if I do what's more like a Hirada, see, I've already cut him before he's able to reach me with that thrust. Right? And then I could be on my way out. Right? So that's the difference. So it's the same thing with attacking four wall. Okay? You have to be at the appropriate range for that to have any beneficial effect for you, right? Any questions? And if any of this is not making sense to you guys, please, sound off, because you're all so quiet. So I don't know if any of this is is gelling, and I'm blurry again. One sec. And I'm back. Okay. Questions? No questions. Okay. So that exercise, I did what? I did a fluid 1, at angle 2 as an attacking four wall, a low pylon to counter his thrust, and I displace, right? Can't be standing there and just parry it off. Got to displace out of the way. And then I just did some follow-ups to finish it off. And this is where you can do whatever you want afterwards, right? You've dealt with your primary problem, which is to get in there and create an opening. Once you've created that opening and you've dealt with, his counter offense, then you're free to, right? You're free to add whatever finishing strikes you want, right? For example, this is what I did. And again, you guys already saw the footwork, right? So I don't need to keep doing this. Or maybe I do, I don't know, we'll see. Right? So this is what we're doing, right? 1, 2, here, boom, right? Well, what if after the pylon, I want to do something else? Yeah, sure, you can do something else. Seguidas. 1, 2. Right? Contradas. Your angle 2 contrada versus the forehand thrust. Okay? Deflect, cut. What else? Something more fancy maybe. Okay? Florete. Okay, so you can add whatever you want afterward. But again, the main thing is you wanna address going from here to here. Okay, this is how you make your drills more combative, or at the very least more meaningful, versus just same thing, double, right? Versus doing this. Okay, your turn. Oh, that's amazing, right? There's nothing there, right? It's just it's what we call, unfortunately, it's what we refer to as a dead drill. Your feeder or your partner has to force you to work for that tactic, man. Right? I'm attacking Garrett. He needs to range out. See? Same thing. If he's doing that to me, see, he needs to earn this distance. I don't just I don't just stay put and go, hey, good job. No, he has to work his way in there. Okay, he needs to understand that. that you need to close that distance and not just do the, just do a repetition, right? And you can, I guess, if you're just training the mechanics of it, but again, you gotta put some gunpowder in it and make it go boom, right? So no worries, Gary. Any other questions?
Guys,
Uh,
open up your mic if you guys got any questions. Now is the time to ask you questions.
Yeah, and if you got the microphone and or camera, then it's better if I can hear you, because sometimes I'm reading type and it's like the grammar's all messed up and I'm like, what? What are you trying to say? Because you're trying to type fast. I get it, but yeah, I'm a more of a interactive, I guess, instructor. Again, teaching on Zoom like this is a little more challenging for me because I do a majority of the talking because I'm presenting, right? But in our normal class, there's a lot of back and forth, so it's more like a conversation I'm having with my students, because we want that, right, thought-provoking process, right? So ask questions whenever you can, and don't be shy about it, right?
So much.
So okay, well, I'll just keep going unless I'll go another maybe 10 minutes. I'll show another couple of drills, and then I'll just open it up to Q&A after. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
right now,
Fast.
I've been just kind of addressing long to corto ranges, but I want to bring up Sagang Labo. People are familiar with Sagang Labo?
Yes, sir.
Hubad. Right? Some people know it as a Hubad Lubad. We just call it Sagang Labo, right? It's by the way, I have to thank these guys because otherwise, man, I'll just be by myself and I'll just sound like I'm talking out of my ass, So it's nice that they're willing to come and help me out. So Sagang Labo is it's a Pekiti range type of strikes, right, or attacks, right? Against this angle one, you see this, right? This, and then you go around each other, right? The one thing that we do is instead of simply standing there and waiting to absorb and then passing it over and then keep doing the same thing, right? We actually encourage you to step forward into it. So I'm sure you've heard the phrase attack the attack. You're going to attack this attack with your Sagang Labo. So when I give him the, he's at this range again, right? He's at this range and he needs to do the Sagang Labo. He needs to step in and jam that up. Get over and then I have to do the same thing. See, I'll step in and then quarter, circle step. Okay. Attack it, step out of the way. Now, if you're teaching a student to do this and they're like not familiar or whatever, right? They're new, you just kind of help them along. What I like to do is when my student is performing Sagang Labo and I notice that they don't step, I pull them in. Right? Here, and I'll pull them in. If I feel like they haven't crashed it enough, just help them. And then eventually, you don't need to do that anymore. They just know. Okay? That's the Sagang Labo principle, right? Okay, so how do we incorporate that drill into the whole bridging thing? Again, typically when I learned this, it's just Sagang Labo by itself. And then we started training with Tim. He started showing us, how to formulate drills to create entries for that, right? One of them one of the entries are the contradas, right? Again, I'm assuming people knows what contradas are. Yeah. It's the principle of following the energy, right? Yes. I'm assuming you said yes. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So once again, right, we are now gonna go
Yes.
from tip to tip distance, and then somehow work our way into this situation, right? Second level. And usually the person who's doing the second level is the one who bridges. Let's put it that way, right? So first we set it up, or at least we set up the tempo or rhythm, whatever, with fluid 1 and 2, right? And then we establish the entries. So like I said, we're using contradas as the entry, right? Well, when I learned contradas in Tri-V, it was what is it, the 2 versus 1 contradas? It was out of fluid 1 and 2. I did this like that. I'm sure it's different. I mean, when we were learning it, nobody knew what the hell Tri-V was. So this is how we learned contradas initially. 1 and 2 fluid, and then one of us goes broken, and now we have contradas, right? But we're gonna add the bridging and the second labo in there. So again, largo. I'm gonna bridge. I will force contact on the 2. And again, right, I don't just do a broken 2 and bounce off. Okay, because if I miscalculate, he's gonna read that and he'll do a broken 2 also. Right? So I have to force him to go fluid. That's why we use the attacking forward wall. So fluid 1. Oh, good, you went there. Then I'll come in for that. It's a little closer because, yeah. There you go. So I'm gonna bridge, right? Feet together, contradas, second labo. Then you can do the drill here. Then you do this a couple of times. And then to exit, you do the outside pass. And then you're back to largo. Okay. Oh, sorry, I went to 5 attacks. I had it, sorry. 1 and 2. It's hard to not go into our regular flow. So sorry about that. 1 and 2. And then now Paul, shit, did it get? Paul will do it. He'll bring his feet together. He'll attack in. So I'm going to go there. I'll do the same. Quarter. And then it's like, okay, I'm done playing this game. Outside pass. He ranges up. Back to 1 and 2. Okay, so it's a fairly simple drill. What you're doing is you're trying to learn how to move in and out of ranges. Again, you can, I'm not saying learning sarang labo like this is wrong. I'm not saying that's wrong. Just don't do this all the time. Mix it up, right? Add some flavor in that, right? So you might start off with this. Great. Maybe there's even no footwork. Okay, fine. Okay. And then you come and train with me, and I say, okay, sit down. I'll say, okay, step in, step in, step in. Okay. And then it's like, okay, great. We've done this a few times. I'm getting dizzy. Let's exit out of it. Outside pass. Back to long range. Flow again. Okay. Now my friend is gonna make the entry. Enters. Boom. Then same thing. Done this a few times. Exit out of it. Out. Okay. And I did 5 attacks again. I'm sorry.
5 attacks.
I keep going back to that. But that's essentially what it is, right? For Sagang Labo. What else do I have on here? I have so many drills on here. I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to show you all. Yeah, I have fluid broken 2 entry, 5 attacks entry. Yeah, I gotta teach 5 attacks first. Contradas entry. There's like 3 entries for Contradas. Like I said, I kind of over prepared, and now I'm like, oh crap, I'm not gonna be able to cover everything.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Once I start going, man, it's like, oh, I just want to keep going. But I don't. I guess Tuan Jess, should we open up to questions or?
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Q&A
No,
now?
thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you very much.
Gruford,
Uh,
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Chief, Gruford, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Regarding Sagang Labo, you just showed one aspect on of the drill that's very similar to the Hubud drill from some other systems. But Sagang Labo, as we understand it, you still have the low line attack, right? So if a thrust comes in, you just cut it off from above, bisecting lines, still aggressively attacking the attack, so to speak. You could see it in the framework of those doing the sabayan as well. But still, it is Sagang Labo. It can be outside, can be inside, right? As
Yeah.
far as
Some people,
SFM doctrine.
correct. And and I know some people refer to that as contradas as well, which technically it is, because it's backhand versus
It is,
forehand,
yes.
right? If you leave out the third hand principle strike and you want direct, then yes, you can look at it as a contradas. And again, right, this is where range come into play, because if you're too far to do the direct Sagang Labo, what are you going to revert to? Just the contradas with your weapon, right? You come here.
And
Right? If you're too far, right?
show
you intended
it, brother.
this, right? You intended to do this, but you miscalculated and you ended up too far. Then you're gonna end up having to do that instead of forcing this. Unless you're really brave, right? There's that as well, right? Is that Sagang Labo? Is that an angle 2? Is that an attacking 4 wall? It can be all of the above, right? I already showed you
exactly.
what's the principle of attacking 4 wall, at least on the angle 2 side, right? I simply stop my energy. I allow them to either follow through or they might go broken, right? With me, I'm gonna hold it there, right? And then I'll see what he does. If he does a broken, thanks. If it goes fluid, thanks, right? So, if I'm a mad bull and I charge in, for one, right? Of course, I just lost my hand there because he just cut it. Yeah. But if I charge in and I get this, right? Where did you see this? Who can identify that? You tap also. Who recognizes that?
Break in, break out.
Thank you. Break in, break out. Or the breakout part, right?
Right.
Who recognizes this?
Exactly.
Or better yet, pretend I'm Grand Tuhan. So my pants is all the way up here. Don't show him this. He's gonna kill me. So pretend we're at a Grand Tuhan seminar.
He's here.
Who recognizes this?
He's here. Hi, Grand Tuhon. He's here.
Hi, Grand Tuhan. I love you. Again, who recognizes this?
Pasakay.
Right. Which is out of break in, break out also.
Break in, break out. Yes.
Okay, right. Same thing. I'm gonna attack with my 4 wall. If he holds it there, then I can break in. See, right here. If he opens the door by following through or going broken, then I will go into a more offensive tactic. If I'm trying to kick the door down and he's like, he's bracing it closed, then I break in.
Very
See?
good.
This is the break in part. Okay, but in the drill, he withdraws and he does, right? He does
Break
that,
out.
and we both break out, right? So they're all in there. They all tie in together, right? Depending on the execution, at the appropriate timing and range, it could be one principle or the other, right? Like I said, I learned this from Grant Huon, the direct breakout. Was it Pasakai? To ride.
Pasakai.
Yes, pasakay. Yes, pasakay.
Right. My initial introduction to Pasakai was from Contradas. So I will ride,
It's true.
yeah. I will ride this energy. So he'll do the Contradas, I'll ride the energy so I don't lose my hand. Then he will do the same. Right? This is how I got my introduction to Pasakai. But as you know, later, you don't have to do Pasakai. You're doing Contradas, you go do your circular, pop. Okay? Contradas, boom, boom. Horizontal. I don't feel like bridging any closer, so I'm gonna use a long range horizontal strike, like 2 more inches, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the difference, right? The reason why we do diagonals is because we have to bridge closer. We're expecting some, right? Some
Yes,
counter
sir.
offense, or right?
Yes, sir.
Maybe they're just flailing, they're freaking out. Ah! Right? You got to deal with that. So, we have to use the diagonal so we have the simultaneous protection of our weapon. If I'm attacking from a much longer range and I don't feel like crossing this this danger zone, medium range, I'll just revert to my largo strikes, horizontal. See, I have more reach with this than this. But if I'm a hit and run tactician, right? Bam, 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 bam. Right? See, bam, bam, right? I'm constantly harassing him. I'm coming in close, and then I'm like, nope, get back out again, right? But I understand everybody, fights differently. And this is what I love about Pekiti-Tirsia as a system. I don't care if you do Tri-V, 64 attacks, Dosen Methodos. For us, we took the Dosen Methodos route because it just made better sense the way Tim teaches it that way. I'm sure there are teachers out there that teach from other methodologies, and they have a equally good curriculum based on whatever chosen system they're going with. But for us, this is why I love Pekiti-Tirsia and Dosen Methodos, because it allows me to see each principle by itself, right? In this neat little box. Hey, look, here's a bottle of the Kopi Punya. What's in there? All right. And you investigate, you learn what the contents are, and then you figure out how to create what's in here. I feel like I'm doing a water, beverage.
And eventually, it tastes. Yeah, eventually it tastes like water every time.
Yeah. So you learn.
I love it. Thank you so much, Guru Ferd. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And again, thanks guys for inviting me to present. I know it's kind of talking fast, and I'm trying to show a lot of stuff, and there's never enough time. But we got a few more minutes. So.
Anybody else have any questions? Raise their hands. Randy, you got a question?
Somebody asked if I'm comfortable sharing the PowerPoint. Yeah, I'll Tuhan, Jesse, or
Yeah. You can send it to me, and I'll share it with everybody.
Yeah.
I'll send it to the
you'll
messenger
Thank you so
group.
much.
Yeah, you'll probably see stuff in there that are like, hey, you didn't talk about this. Like, yeah, I ran out of time. So yeah, I still, here I am talking about timing and stuff, and I'm the worst at managing time. Because I just, I get into it. I'm passionate about it, so I just want to keep going. but people have stuff to do, and
Yes, sir.
I understand.
We feel it. We feel the passion and we feel the love.
But again,
Well, is there
uh,
any other questions? If not, I'm gonna have the closing remarks from the guest that's on board. Randy, did you have any more questions besides the one you asked earlier?
yes.
You referred, I was just going to ask you about in your curriculum,
Yeah, hi.
when do you start teaching your students knife and
Mhm.
sword?
Oh, when do I start teaching them that?
Mhm.
Depends on when they show up. you know, uh, if they show up on the day I happen to be teaching knife, then obviously they're gonna end up learning the basics of knife. Although a lot of times when that happens, I have a specific agenda in my head, and I'm gonna have to change it up because of the new student, right? So I will introduce them to whatever weapon we happen to be working on that day. But as always, footwork first, right? Although I would admit there are times where we skip the footwork part because sometimes we only have like less than an hour per class, so I have to hit the specific lesson head on immediately. Yeah, if they show up and we happen to be doing double stakes, guess what? You're learning double stake that day, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like we're doing double stake and you have to like keep up with everybody and do double stake, just right. I'll have everybody go through the foundations as well. All right, broken, fluid, broken. This could be warm up. Okay, the overhead version. Right. The only thing I don't do if I'm doing a double stake or double sword is I don't teach Sinawali. I completely ignore Sinawali. I think Sinawali is overly abused in FMA. Everybody who goes into training FMA right away, they start doing the Heaven 6. The way we're taught with Tim, you teach students to develop true ambidexterity by, treating each weapon as independent of each other, right? So we focus on the energy drills, fluids, broken fluid combinations, stuff like that, not this, right? Because the way we see it is right, if you're fighting whatever, then you lose one, right? You should not skip a beat, right? Or you lose your main weapon somehow. Great. I can keep going. I found in my experience that if you teach Sinawali first, it doesn't teach them immediate combative skills. So, if I ask people to spar at the end of class and they have to spar with double sticks, they get lost to try to do the stuff they were doing in class, right? Versus if they were learning how to use individual weapons first, even though they have equal weapons on each hand, they can operate and do pretty good actually, on their first condition. So yeah, aside from all the rambling, yes, whatever weapon I was teaching that day that you happen to show up in, that's what you're gonna learn first.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great class. I loved it.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to some closing remarks here. Let's see here. I know there's a few that had to leave, but let's go ahead and start with Tuan J.
Tuan J.
Tuan J.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Well, again, I want to thank Guru Ferd for coming in with a lot of passion and preparing overly for the session for Katipunan. It's been a wonderful invitation accepted, and again, I think that's the way we need to do things. bridge not just friendships, but sharing learnings as well across the board. We get to appreciate where one is coming from, and we get to appreciate where we are at that point. So, Guru Ferd, maraming salamat. I mean, and to your friends and fellow practitioners of PTK SMF under Tuhon Team Wade, maraming salamat sa inyo. It's time well spent, especially for a weekend for us. And I thank God it's Friday for you over there. Stay well and hydrate, brother. I've been seeing that, and maraming salamat. And I hope you'll give Katipunan another chance to see you on not just online, but at least an opportunity in the future in one of the pagtitipons as well. I'd like to make mention that Katipunan USA, under the collective leadership from Chief and the other Tuhons as well, we're making a milestone, and Guru Ferd, you're part of this as much as everyone is part of it now online. Chief, salamat, and Guru Ferd, and to your friends in SMF, mabuhay po at pugay at padayon, mga kapatid.
Thank you. Thank you, Anjay. Yeah, I appreciate being invited to be able to present in this Zoom session. I hope in the near future, as travel restrictions are getting lifted. So I hope to be able to travel to different locations and train with everybody, learn how you guys do stuff, and then also, maybe have the opportunity to present in person, our method of training. But yeah, it's soon, right? Hopefully.
Thanks,
now we'll do the Zoom
thanks
stuff.
to Anjay. Mr. Paul Webb, you available for some closing remarks, sir?
Yes, sir. Guru Ferd, that was awesome. I love the explosive bridging. I love how you keep your drills alive. And if it's okay, I'm going to coin that term from you about if you're not using your footwork properly, it's a dead drill. I like that. I like that a lot. And no, I just thought it was an awesome session, and the practicality of it, and how you can take those drills and put it into real life situations. How you go from strategy to tactics to techniques. No, it was beautiful.
Thank you. And yeah, again, right, just to reiterate, there's nothing inherently wrong doing drills standing in place, static, for a little while, right? Especially if you're teaching somebody who's not very well coordinated. They can't tell, they have two left feet, right? You have to be able to adjust for those students. Otherwise, if you don't, right, they'll lose interest, and they won't come back, or they're just gonna struggle unless you help them. And that's your job. Your job is to help them, right? So I guess, like for tonight's presentation, I guess, obviously I'm showing how we do things, but it's I'm hoping I'm giving people an idea that whatever basic drill you think and have mastered up to this point, there's still more to it. There's still more you can do with it, right? You just need to be able to, you need to know how to look at your principles and how to formulate these drills together, right? Like tonight what's the title, right? Dynamic execution of tactics. That's precisely it. We're doing tactics, right? We're not exploring like counter for counter kind of drills, although we do that stuff too. Like we do that stuff too. It's just part of learning, right? I'm an artist, as Tuhan Jesse has already mentioned in my introduction. I'm an animator. I'm an artist, so I'm a visual learner, and a lot of times if I'm not interested at what I'm looking at, or I get tired of it, I stop doing it. So I need I need new stimulus, right? I need to be able to see that same drill presented in another way, right? And I think this is one of the reasons why I gravitated towards to hunt Tim Wade, because, you know, again, I've said this in many interviews. You know, when the first time I met him, I didn't like him. I didn't like Tim Wade. I didn't even want to go to his, right? I didn't want to go to his seminar. My teacher kept forcing me to go, and but like after I attended the first one, you know, because again we started in Tri-V, right? But at the time, you know, Tri-V was still very new, and not a lot of people really understood it, including our teachers. You know, a lot of us gravitated towards instructors who seems to have a better understanding of their material, right? So in this case, it was Tim Wade. Tim Wade knows what he's talking about. So he saw us doing the stuff we're doing, and he's like, you know what else you can do with that? You can do this. Or instead of whatever this technique, if you position yourself here, you can execute it like this. But if you position yourself over here, you can execute it this way. So he just kind of kept giving us, like, you know, options based on, you know, the range that we're at, the current position, and the engagement in question. Oh, this happened. Well, you can do this now, right? Versus, you know, like a cookie cutter technique, right? Okay, I deliver a 1, I come back with a 2. Okay, you tap that, you hit this, you disarm. Okay, take turns, right? Right? If you're doing a disarm drill with Tim, he's gonna be like, how did you get there? I mean, show me how you were able to make this, right? How did you get in here to do that disarm, right? If you cannot articulate that and demonstrate it, then it's like, then yeah, that disarm drill you're doing is a dead drill. Right?
Well-
You don't know how to you don't know how to negotiate distance. You have poor timing. You're getting blasted while attempting to snake your arm around that stick. By the way, do you know that it's in fact a stick and not a machete? And you're doing all this stuff and cutting your arm up. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's stuff like that that's made us think, you know, and kind of, yeah, again, we went with, you know, training with him more, aside from being available, more readily available for as far as instructors go, you know. Yeah, he really did open our eyes to what Pekiti-Tirsia has to offer and all the numerous different ways you can train it.
Well, again, I thought it was a masterful presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Tuan Rob, you got closing remarks, sir?
Hey, girl. It was reminiscing. Brought me back to PTKGO, and it's so refreshing, and it's awesome to see you present in your dynamic form as you have been, Guru. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Wonderful session, and I look to see more. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. So I just want to I just want to acknowledge that Tuan Homer finally logged on. I'm sure he's busy doing work at his battalion, but I just want to say I saw him pop up. I just want to say hello, good evening, good morning, sir.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. Sorry I missed the whole session, but I just dropped off to send my courtesy.
Yeah, too late now. They know the secrets now. You didn't see the secrets.
Well, I'm here.
They're not going to share.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel, am I reading that right?
Oh,
Yep,
yes.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Marine.
Lieutenant.
Should I salute?
I was sorry.
Well, Guru Ferd, I truly appreciate your time. It was an amazing presentation. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. A lot of these is what draws me to PTK. A lot of what Tim Wade is talking about really draws me to PTK. And I want to get better at understanding a lot of principles from the different groups that we have out there. And of course, SMF and you guys really have some amazing tactics that I really want to explore. So I look forward to training with you, and I can't wait to see you in Vegas. If you guys are able to
share. yeah, we'll share some stuff together, Chief, when we see each other in Vegas,
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I hope you're willing to share some of, your knowledge with me so I can better understand, like, how you guys, your guys' approach to the training and whatnot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No,
Share and
that's
then, we'll get Filipino food afterwards.
oh yeah, of course. That's what it's all about, man. Training, sharing, and eating good food. So we'll do that a lot in Vegas.
Yeah.
So thank you again. Thanks to your training partners there. They were wonderful. Appreciate them. Again, Zoom Katipunan on Fridays is an amazing moment. Get the word out. If you guys haven't joined the group Katipunan USA, please, you have an open invite to get in there and check it out and share some of your videos and knowledge or any events that you want to share on there. It's an open forum for everyone. So thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and close out the session by bowing out. And just like we did earlier, I'll do the salutation and then we can go about and carry out the plan of the day. All right. Sang Puso. Sang Diwa. Sang Lakas. Yeah, thank you. Open mic, everybody. Open mic.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Have a good night.